Top story this half hour. Local artists are concerned that the SABC interim board will abandon the public broadcaster's commitment to play 90% local music on its radio stations. The artists' fears stem from the content policy being blamed for the SABC's losses in revenue. The policy was championed by former SABC Chief Operations Officer Hlaudi Motsweneng. The artists condemned the SABC inquiry for not allowing Motsweneng to give his side of the story. Motsweneng's ouster from the SABC is seen as a move to block transformation at the public broadcaster. And this raised concerns about who would carry the transformation agenda forward.
Now we know we can do direct business with SABC, which means that we can turn 90% play into 90% pay, because we can cut off all these monopolies, all these family companies who are supposed to be taking money from SABC and distributing it to their members. But a man stands on the stage and he says, we at Kapaso, we're sitting on 80 million rands, sitting proudly. A white man tells us that you are starving and he's sitting on your 80 million. So now we at Mombasa are going to deal directly. We have chosen our own association of collecting companies.
It seems like the outcome of this ad hoc committee was already decided. So we don't question the previous minister when she said she wanted to challenge this thing, because obviously we were not consulted. We've got an organization here that leads all the other structures. But this organization as well, it was not consulted. We are saying to South Africa, we are tired as the artists of this country of being undermined. Look, it's about time that we must stand up as the artists and make sure that we count in everything that happens in this country. So everybody else is taken very serious. But us as the sector, we are not taken very serious. Our views are not considered. So we're saying to the ad hoc committee, we demand to be given a platform to also speak on the issues of the ad hoc committee. We understand that they finished their processes, but you cannot finish the processes of the public broadcaster without inviting and involving all the members of the public. As the sector, we're going to mobilize, and we're mobilizing all artists to stop sleeping and thinking that Remana will fall from heaven. No, we're saying, as the artists, you must stand up now and start fighting for the creative sector of this country. Because look, we don't benefit anything in the creative sector of this country. People who are trying to create opportunities to benefit us, they are being dealt with left and right. There are those political parties, we know them, they think they are holier than all of us. So we are saying, as the sector, we are tired of being undermined. We want to be taken serious because we want to make sure artists of this country as well, they benefit from the transformational agendas that are coming with people like Hlaudi Motsweneng.
According to March 2017 statistics, local content hasn't done well for the SABC. TV viewership dropped to 45% audience share, the lowest on record. Radio station listenership nosedived after the 90% local content decree, and MultiChoice's audience share climbed from 25% to 28%, the highest on record. And we're joined by award-winning artist Margaret Motsage to talk us through what the artists are feeling. We'll also have Blondi Makhene in studio together with Victor Bokhopane, otherwise known as Doc Shebeleza. Margaret, good to see you, my dear friend. It's been forever. Cindy. It has been a minute, but I mean, the struggle continues. On one side, it had seemed that Hlaudi Motsweneng had come out with what would have been the magic wand, if you will, when it comes to transformation. What is your feeling around what's developed since?
You know, I'm actually angry about this because finding out as an artist who's been in the industry for a very, very long time and really being a pioneer, you know, of the gospel music industry to grow and to flourish, and to hear about this as an artist because this is my bread and butter. You know, and hearing about it, that it will be curtailed and back to where we were, it is just making us to backtrack and to go even backwards.
Yeah. But I mean, the question is, was this an SABC policy or a Hlaudi Motsweneng crusade, if you will? Because if it wasn't the broadcaster's policy, then it would essentially leave with the originator.
Listen, I think it wasn't supposed to have been, you know, the SABC mandate. Even since before 1994, this policy should have been implemented back then. Yeah. You know, so this hoo-ha about the 90% you know, and the viewership going down, I think it is just a cop-out.
Yeah.
Really.
But what's your response with the SABC? Just the stats that I read out that the SABC has lost in the region of 45% audience share since the 90% introduction.
I honestly don't buy it, Cindy. Like I say, really, people of South Africa are really not stupid. And they will see through this for what it really is. People of South Africa love their own artists. You know, you go to America, you go to Europe, I've been there, traveled, you know, and they put their music first. They put their artists first. And for that to happen, especially in this time that we are at, it is really unfair. Yeah. I really don't buy those stats at all.
You know, we talk about transformation as if it is a buzzword, but when it has to be implemented, and considering that with change will come some discomfort, that you would have to make unpopular choices.
Absolutely.
For his wrongs, Hlaudi, you know, will face the music. But when it comes to what one hears on the ground, not only employees at the SABC, those that he has empowered at least, you know, extending freelancers' contracts so that they have some semblance of a stability in their lives, and over and above that, the 90%, which was hailed by a lot of artists. And now we're seeing this possibly being reneged on or even suppressed.
And even the largest part of South Africans, Cindy, they're very happy about this, because for the longest time, we have been exposed, you know, to foreign music. I mean, you go to Nigeria, they are so proud of their own artists and their own music. And now it has been exposed throughout the whole world. How are we supposed to be getting exposed and getting, you know, airtime, so to speak, overseas, if people are not even going to be exposed to that?
Yeah.
And number two, it is really taking bread out of the artist's mouth.
Absolutely.
You know, if their music is not played, how are they going to get royalties? And even for their children, because you're trying to create a legacy here for your children. It's just not for you as an individual.
Let's take some callers on 011-542-2186. You can tweet at 8N7TV or at I am Cindy Mabi, talking about the SABC, that it's possible that they may turn down or reverse the 90% local content with the interim board in place, and just venting the concerns of the artists, saying that this could take them back to the days where essentially you weren't paid. You were given a meal for your performances.
Yeah.
So have you experienced the benefits of the 90% decree since its implementation?
Absolutely, Cindy, because you see, you know, the royalties coming in, and you're like, wow, obviously this 90% really did, you know, a dent, you know, in as far as not getting royalties, you know, like periodically. But for many artists, it has been really like a saving grace for artists who have been really starving and not getting their music played. This really curtailing or really trying to move us backwards, it's really not helping anyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's killing our culture, and just the South African musicians will really suffer from this.
Yeah. But who is then the biggest hindrance? Who is blocking the transformation in your view, if it's not multinational record labels, perhaps even from an opposition point of view, because this had come about by Hlaudi Motsoeneng? In your view, who is the biggest?
Look, for me, you know, the politics are really messing up everything that has been, you know, people have been trying to do here. You know, I mean, you look at back in the struggle days. You know, what kept the nation together? It's the music. It's the music that was played, even though some of it was really banned. You know what I mean? But to really bringing back the nation together and trying to have this cohesiveness in the nation, which was like basically disintegrating. Artists were out there and writing songs that really spoke to us as a nation, you know, giving us hope and courage that, you know what, one day things are going to change. And we will not be forced really to listen to, you know, other artists from other countries, you know. And this 90% really, like I say, it was supposed to have been implemented even back in 1994 when we got our freedom, you know. So
So sorry. So there's also the loss of revenue.
Yes.
If you were to date it back, as you were saying that, with the political dispensation or liberation, that economically there is that backlog of royalties that are due to artists, and
To
primarily
artists,
African artists. Because let's be honest, in terms of if you look at the Afrikaans genre, for example, you don't often hear of artists dying as paupers or even struggling to make ends meet. And yet in the main, with black artists, that is often the case. You could talk about whether they invest wisely or not, or whether they frugal with their money. But it's also the fact that legislation hadn't favored
absolutely
artists.
Even now, we are still, struggling with legislation, which is really not in favor of the artist. It's like an artist is just left there to just, find out for your own and fend for your own, like you just really like the bottom of the barrel. And yet we are being taxed, mind you. As an artist, I am being taxed 25%. My 25% goes towards tax. And I mean, I should be benefiting as an artist. I should be getting medical, like a
medical aid.
Medical aid. I should be getting subsidization for housing and all that. It is such a struggle because even in terms of legislating those things, they haven't come into place. So now trying really to stop this, in my view, it really is creating another tsunami.
Yeah.
For
So
South
you're
Africa,
saying that advertisers would have deliberately withheld their ad spent because of this policy to achieve what objective?
Absolutely, because they are also pandering to record companies, if I may really put it so, because record companies really have been the downfall of many artists, like enriching themselves instead of the artist. Even the royalty fees that artists really have to really, contend with. I mean, like 4%. What do you really get from 4% as an artist, as opposed to the rest of it going to the record company? So our record companies also are pandering to the international market, and which is really destroying the music industry in South Africa.
Okay, so but you need to organize yourselves, as we've seen, with the hailing and praising Claudi, with his Thanksgiving concert, etc. So now that there is potential threat to this policy, what are the artists going to do as a collective?
It will really force us to really come together and be united and become a united force in this regard, because everybody's doing their own thing, Cindy, because people are getting booked, every weekend or every day somebody is having a gig. So for them, it's like, what, this doesn't really affect me. But in all honesty, it will. Once those royalties just go dry, then it will force you to act. And it's not only for this generation, also for the coming generation, as I've been saying, because you're trying to create a legacy here. So we will really have to rally around this policy. And it was, in all honesty, it really was not a Saudi thing. SABC had to do this because it really was long overdue.
Yeah.
So as artists, we need to come together.
And especially as a public broadcaster, I mean, it would have the interest, I suppose, of a greater, larger society with the diversity that we have that needs to be reflective on that platform. And you can't expect that from commercial or private entities. So if the SABC doesn't do it, who else is supposed to do it?
Absolutely. How are artists supposed to grow? How is the music supposed to grow and really be sellable, as they are saying, if then that be the issue? How is the industry going to grow if artists' music is not played and our culture is dying in the meantime?
All right, let's take a caller. Senzo, thanks so much for your call. Good evening to you. You're calling us from Joburg. Hi, Senzo. Hi.
Hi. Good evening. Yes, I need you to understand and profile a lot of people who complain about Saudi 90% local content. The profile of the same people are the same monopolists who are also complaining about radical economic changes that are to happen in the country. We are under serious colonization. SABC has been colonized ever since apartheid, and there was no change that took place in 1994. As that sister has said there, changes that were supposed to happen in SABC did not happen in 1994, and we are not going to see them for as long we have our own people who have been colonized in the mind that any change that takes place is for the West because it's for the benefit of the Africans. There is serious need for transforming SABC such that it becomes South African. And the management of SABC is divided into people who are colonized in the mind and people who are open-minded like Saudi. And obviously they will be attacked seriously, just as much as this government is attacked on radical economic change. We are going to be attacked also in any sphere where we need transformation, because economically we are still colonized. The media that makes noise about people like Claudi as wrong people is the same media which is owned by the same capitalists who are aiming at keeping us under colonization in the mind economically, and we only enjoy political freedom.
Senzo, point taken. Thanks for your call. William in Cape Town, good evening to you.
Yes, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. You know, guys, I think we should be honest with each other here. See, we mustn't bring politics where it doesn't belong. When the interim board was selected, it has been selected with each and every member of Parliament. I was watching it when they were selecting those members here, and the results that came in are the ones that we are seeing at the SABC today. So I don't understand where the issue of politics is coming from. And I'm one of those guys who had stopped listening to music, because if you listen to Metro FM, they kept on. You see, there is the breakfast show, there is that show of music, and there is that show for Bonang, and that show for who's this, for Amon and Pearl, and the later one there. You see, they keep on repeating the same music that was played in the morning, they play in the afternoon, they play it in the evening.
Not having a variety or enough in terms of, fulfilling the 90%. William, point taken, thank you. Ronald, good evening to you, and thanks for calling.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm okay. Cindy,
yes, sir.
You know, sometimes I feel bad by the fact that black people, they have been colonized, and they're still perpetuating the colonialism system on their own, like upon their lives. Like, let me just get into the business of the day that you're discussing at the moment. You see, the issue that is happening at SABC. Claudi came as the last figure to the black child, especially those who are into music. He introduced 90%, of which it was good for the black people, especially the creative, on the creative side, the talent, the musicians especially, so to say it. And now we are seeing this tendency where the function between the Zuma function and the SR function, it has been paraded to such a way that they have to even dissolve the board, so they can now reverse everything that Saudi did to liberate the life of the black child. So now the question is to say, for how long should we keep on conscientizing black child so they should start to see the truth of what's happening at the moment on the political track of this country? White people, they've been in charge of SABC for some quite time. They've introduced ENCA to further perpetuate their imperialist agenda. Now, you guys at A7, they're busy how to remove you on the DSTV so they can keep on feeding us with their garbage, so we believe that black life doesn't matter. And it tears my heart very bad when I see this thing. Having clever blacks who think that they've arrived. They can't even notice or diagnose. That's why people, they want to keep on looking in our country.
To let you go. We just have, thank you so much. Victor is calling us in Limpopo. Good evening to you.
Hello, good evening.
How are you doing? Yes, sir. Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'm always a little bit hard, but today I'm going to be a little bit softer. Mm. You know, in this country, the majority are taken like toys. When I say toys, turn this way, we all go for it. Saudi has done the right thing, but at the end of the day, I would like to say if there's any changes which is against the minority in this country, there is a repellent of buying this one in and whatever. Yeah. With this 90% Saudi is presented, nobody did like it because the white bosses were not there to, you know.
Yeah, Victor, I'm sorry we press for time, but thanks indeed. Point taken. We also have Victor Mokopane, popularly known as Doc Shebeleza, and South African, very well-loved veteran kwaito artist. And we have Blondie Makhene, a veteran singer. I mean, good company, good friends, good to have you. So Aluta continua, the struggle still continues. Not only were you social commentators during the days of the struggle, now you still have to fight for crumbs off the table, as it were. What are you going to do as artists to protect the 90% decree?
We will do all we can. Yeah. We will do all we can. It's not negotiable 90%. This is not America or any other country. This is South Africa. Absolutely. We should be going for 100% airtime. But because of the politics of the day, we have to make room for our other friends and brothers who do not have that same room for us in their countries. You can drive around in any state in America or in Europe. You will never hear us. So I don't even know what this other 10% that's left is left for who. Because if it's African, we are Africans. We are okay with each other. So we don't need 10% to be set aside for any other African.
Yeah, realistically speaking, though, because you'll have the record labels and already what the mold has been in the SABC, not having the transformation that we saw under Hlaudi Motsoeneng. At the moment, we just have a report that suggests that the 90% has been more negative than what it has been for the SABC. There could be a case that maybe things need to be reversed. Victor, so where does that leave you?
No, the issue is it's a mindset. Why can't we be proud of ourselves? There's a person out there, individually, or an NGO somewhere there, saying that 90% is not us. 10% we need to change that. You go to overseas, you go the whole of the country, and those in the way that my chief, my legend, Blondie Makhene said there before. I mean, a kind of a new baby born as a quiet. I'm coming whereby it's an issue of whereby internationally, overseas they don't play Maskandi and Fazomnyama. They don't play
on the continent. They
don't do that.
Yeah.
But the problem is, my biggest problem, and in fear, it's one. People, they say, because it came through the board of Hlaudi.
That is nonsense.
That's a problem. That's the biggest problem. 90%, we need that. We need to survive. And 90% is not about music. It's about the sustainability.
And the legacy that Margaret was talking about, you know, the inheritance that you leave for your children.
And our children's children.
And right now, we're Cindy, what are we leaving our children?
Nothing.
Yeah, Blondie, he made a song, he fought through the song. Is that a legacy? No, it's not a legacy. These children, like right now, I'm quite scared, Mina. My constituency starts right in my house. So if I come to a meeting like this, I need to go back to my constituency. Before I even hit the national constituency, I have to answer to these young people. So that you spend 5 hours away from home. How's that 5 hours going to impact on us? And they are saying to me, Guti, Bonadette, the next fight is not going to be between us, your children, and white people. It's going to be between us and you guys for not finishing your work.
Yeah. I think for me the travesty is the fact that you had been displaced, you had been banned during apartheid, and also the fact that you had been separated from your family and having to live as nomads from one gig or one town to the other.
Absolutely.
And all of that is not necessarily documented. Not only are you not rewarded financially, but there's a lack of appreciation just from a books and stuff that we can read about.
It's like I personally shot myself in the foot because I was good for the struggle, but I was not good for the government then. And today, I am not good even for the new government.
Looks like it's the same
because
struggle.
The new government has got a deal. You see, they've got deals together with these whiteys. They got deals to say you cannot have Blondie on a government-funded function. You cannot have Blondie on this. You cannot have Blondie on that. So basically, I'm still marginalized. I'm still struggling
by your political affiliations.
Yeah.
So if your political allegiance is with a particular party, you're then sidelined depending on who's in government.
Definitely.
That is very sad. Victor?
I think the most important, crucial part is that people, they say, we can't deny that. We can't kind of move ourselves from the previous, the present movement. All of us, ANC did well, okay? Apart from our differences.
Yeah.
But the issue is that people will say, okay, Dr. Shebeleza, Batandi ANC, I'm a gospel, I'm a musician, everybody, Batandi ANC. Yes, it's a fact. All of us, we're coming from the Mandela regime, the Oliver Tambo, the Luthuli. Even if we do have our personal kind of misunderstanding within the institution. But the issue is that it's not about political association. It's about us as musicians.
As a segment.
My musician, my
industry,
music,
yeah.
Blondie, Rebecca, Casper, Arthur, and Mdu. People, when they buy their music, they don't buy because I'm part of the political. They buy music because I do good.
Yeah, we have to go, unfortunately. So a call to action, now that the 90% decree is uncertain, or the future thereof, a call to action to South Africans, those that say there isn't enough quality music to be on high rotation, those that say whatever criticism leveled at this particular stance.
Margaret, it's a bad excuse.
It is.
Do you know how good South African music is? Let me
laughable.
give you an example of how good we
It is
are.
laughable.
I'm not afraid. We have in the world's top 10 bassists, we have Bagiti Khumalo.
Yes.
We have in the world's top 10 pianists, we have Abdullah Ibrahim. You know what I'm saying? And we have in this country an Grammy award-winning engineer. So don't tell us about that. Tell us how SABC is going to sit down and work on an idea how to get their customers back. It's their job. If they want to, they can talk to us and we can give them ideas how we can win back the sponsors.
Yeah, my friends will certainly have you back for another occasion. I'm afraid we seriously out of time, but it was so wonderful to see you. God bless you. And I'm with you in the struggle. Are you still a child?
In the same class, standard one.
The Mutual Admiration Society. Time now for the latest news headlines.